6:30, we'll call the meeting to order. Connie, are you rolling? Okay, great. Um, Tom, you going to take notes for tonight? Okay, great. First item is our public comment period. Any public comments on the agenda? Anything you guys want to bring up? Miss,
Thank you. So I'm not up to date with what we included in the issue about computer center or data center ordinances. I just wanted to speak as a brain researcher because the big problem with these data centers is that they release a gas which is acting on the brain and also on the musculature, and it's NO, and it's not researched very well because it's a gas, so it gets everywhere easily, so it's difficult to study it. But what we do know is that it's active in his body. So I'm just curious if there's somewhere included in the ordinance.
I'm not sure we're there yet, okay? So we've just started recently working on the data center ordinance, and we're using a framework from some of the other townships that we've seen. The state is coming out with guidance on them. I think Governor Shapiro just sent something out recently. I haven't looked at it closely enough to even try to explain what's there, but this is a work in progress. It's going to take us some time, but I appreciate you bringing up the gases. I think someone else mentioned that also. And that's, one of many things that we're going to be looking at. There's noise, water, the light pollution, energy. There's a whole gamut of things that we're going to have to look at. And I'm not sure we're going to get it all right at the first time. So our goal, at least what we've been talking about, is coming up with some basic framework for our first ordinance that we adopt, and then we'll refine it and make it, better as time goes on. Because if we let if we try to get it perfect right off the bat, we may never finish it. And having nothing in place is probably a lot worse than waiting for the perfect ordinance to come in. So that's kind of our strategy. But I'll say one more thing. We're kind of having a discussion with the Board of Supervisors, and until they give us the directive to move forward with data centers, we really haven't gotten a green light from them to work on it. So that's in the works. I don't know what they're going to prioritize for us. If it's going to be data centers or other things right now. We've given them a list of things that we could be working on, and we'll see what they decide. But this commission reports to the Board of Supervisors, and so they decide what it is that we're working on next. So.
Okay. If that question comes up again, because I'm a brain researcher, I'm happy to give you a review of the biomedical literature about the gas.
That would be great, yeah.
Okay. Can you specify the gas? I couldn't hear.
Oh,
you say nitrous oxide?
Yes, I'm a brain researcher.
Yes.
And I have encountered a lot of literature about the active
Sure.
Activation of the NO, because the body is producing that gas too.
It's nitrous
but
oxide.
It's like a neurotransmitter or similar. Like it's getting to the whole body very quickly, and then the cells will just respond and fire it. So I don't know what happens to people if they inhale NO, I don't know if it's comparable to being on drugs or something, but it does affect the body. And people near data centers and also animals that do have problems. But I'm specialized working on researching what's going on in the brain.
Is it from like the sound waves, or is it actually producing a gas?
It's actually producing a gas. Oh
Yeah.
So I'm not exactly aware of studies about the data centers. So people just say that the gas and the animals behave differently. That's what studies show. And unfortunately, I think there is no one really interested in looking what it does to the people. But what I can provide as a literature is, as a summary is just a net search that was done on the gas itself without the data center.
Gas turbines. Thank you.
Another just comment on the whole data center stuff. The nice part is there really aren't any real ordinances in Pennsylvania related to data centers to speak of. It's not too much of anything yet. And the nice part about that is, and this may be a cynical view, is that it's like you're trying to run away from a bear. You only have to run faster than the guy beside you. So as long as we as a group get a very reasonable ordinance in place, even if it's not perfect in all these areas, as long as we're better than everybody else out there, the likelihood is data centers aren't going to be here. So it's important that we work on, but it's important that we do so in a way that gets it implemented rather than get it perfect. So just maybe that's a cynical view of the thing, but you just have to run faster than the guy beside you.
Yeah, I mean, if it's only about the gas, you can just build it in a place that is well ventilated and make sure that nobody is upstream or downstream to inhale it.
Mm-hmm. Do you know how far those gases propagate before they dissipate?
You know, that's strongly, I mean, there's marijuana everywhere, and I'm allergic to marijuana smell. So I know that sometimes it goes the weirdest ways around the corner, and sometimes you get really such a strong dose from far away because the wind is just blowing it. And so it's difficult to predict, but of course, without wind, and also the marijuana smell, for example, is very heavy. It's heavier than air that goes down. I know that from experience.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a fluid dynamic problem too. It's both. So one is the gravity, like if it's, the NO is not a heavy gas, so it shouldn't collect in valleys. It's better to ask an expert, but it should go up rather than down. But then you may want to have it on a hillside, so it can get more wind to blow it away and the lake, which is close.
Yeah, I think it's caused by the use of natural gas turbines. You know, that to make power, they have these huge engines, like Connie makes, and that causes that off gas, just like a power plant. So huge consumption of power in one small area.
So the other thing we'd have to worry about would be the inversions where that gas can't dissipate through. You know, sometimes there's pressure differences where things actually stay in one place, they can't move, and that's where it concentrates. And we've heard of places around steel mills where a lot of people have been sick because they were down in a valley and they get some kind of inversion and gas just doesn't dissipate as normal. So.
I don't know if that would be feasible, but like if there was an inversion, you know, I wouldn't burn a fire in my garden because the smoke would just accumulate around my house, you know. Yeah, maybe, I don't know if it's feasible to have a gentleman that they should shut down his power plant if there's an inversion.
Before you leave, or you know, can I get your name so if we need to contact you?
It's also on the list.
You put it on the list? Okay, perfect. We'll get it from there. Anything else?
So that's the reason that I came to. Obviously, that's I don't want to touch on that. Obviously, that's a big part of it, but just the water consumption is insane. Millions of gallons a day just to keep it cool. It's going to put way too much stress on the power grid. A large data center comes up to the same power that powers 100,000 households. Obviously, we don't have this. And just the environmental impacts in our community would be devastating. It's going to completely ruin one of the places that are still in this area that still have good farmland, and like I've heard literally, there's a public domain here.
Well, what we've talked about is limiting it to the industrial zoning areas of the township. We do have one that's not real big. That's one of the things we're nowhere near final, but those are some of the discussions we've had. But getting some framework in place that protects the residents from some of the things you mentioned, the gas that she's mentioned, even if it's just that basic framework, it can't impact, the water, our groundwater supply, because a lot of us here are on wells. You can't overtax the power grid. When you start putting those requirements in place, they look elsewhere where they don't have that. And that's their path of least resistance. Unless there's something about this particular area in this township that, kind of just overwrites all those things that those ordinances that we'll have in place. And I doubt it. I'm not sure this is an ideal location anyhow. But without anything, it's more ideal than the place in the township next door that has the framework.
That's right. So, keep in mind too that as we implement things, it's important that what we implement has a basis as enforceable. If we go overboard on an ordinance, the likelihood of a challenge and overturned in the courts is extremely high. So what we put together also has to be something that can be enforced and upheld in court.
To that point, that's what I was going to say. We can't ban. All we can do is put like a framework in place that would, put a lot of, framework
Reasonable
around it,
hurdles.
reasonable restrictions, and try to think of possibilities like, hey, if they try to go, fight this aspect of it, what would be the alternative to that, and how can we limit that as well?
So for me, a lot of it is not restricting what they can do themselves. It's restricting them from impacting the surrounding residents in the township. And I think that's fair and defendable, and that's what we're going to set out to do. And again, it's the power grid, it's the water supply, it's the noise, it's the light, it's all those things that come with their industry.
Those generators have a constant humming of their decibels. It's anybody, but I do understand that. I just want to make sure that something goes into place to prevent any tragedy.
Mm-hmm.
But I understand that it's early stages.
I think
Well, we have a model ordinance that we're working from. We haven't gotten to it recently, but it has water protection and consumption. It has noise, is a big thing. It has a separation, like a separation from boundaries. So there's a setback requirement. Zoning, it's got to be in certainly can't be in a residential area. That really limits where a data center could be located in Lancaster Township. There's not much land that they would want. My company works in Texas. There's 420 gigawatts of new power in the queue, and the whole state of Texas uses 85 gigawatts. And that's 90% from new data centers. So we're building power plants, but it's a big issue. So we're going to work on it when it's coming. It's in the queue. It's coming. But we have given it a lot of thought. We looked at all of the ordinances across Pennsylvania, trying to keep it a little bit, like Bob said, realistic, but more conservative, if we can. Defendable. Yes.
I'm not sure that I understand correctly that there is ordinances in place about water that are independent about the data center ordinance?
There is nothing right today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I think that maybe if there's a concern about a lawsuit and you turn over the ordinance, maybe it's better to have different packages and just have a general rule about water consumption. Because for us, it's not that we don't want the data center because it consumes water, and because it's a data center. It's any facility that would take our drinking water would be a concern. So I think they could have a general rule that's point, and they cannot say, oh, yes, it's just a one data center. But last fall, for example, we were running out of water, so we got a notice to not water our lawn anymore. We have a well, so we were fine. But I think that's serious if that happens already any big facility that uses a lot of water.
Yeah, the way ordinances are written though is that they're always written in a way that if one piece is unenforceable, it doesn't mean the whole thing is thrown out. So, for example, if an ordinance is written and the courts say, no, you can't enforce this on the water, it doesn't mean you can't enforce the other elements of that ordinance. So we don't have to go and have these things all separate pieces. Any one piece can be overturned and the rest will remain enforceable.
Oh, okay, okay. Thank you.
Okay, anything else, sir?
I guess not. I just wanted to hear what this asking was. Is that
We have,
it was a very jarring to see that it was even a possibility. I wouldn't think that that would ever happen.
What would be a possibility?
A data center being built anywhere in this township. I think if you surveyed everybody, maybe 5% would agree. And I don't think there's anything that can justify it. If it does create jobs, like how many are going to be from Newcastle Township? It's not local jobs that we create.
so we're doing this to be proactive. We're putting something in place to, yeah, and we're a little too proactive because we started venturing down that road before we got the directive from supervisors to start on it. I think some of them were in favor of us going there, but I'm not sure that that's their priority, and they're the ones that tell us what to work on. So we're in discussions right now on what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. I probably took some liberties that I shouldn't have, and it's not a problem. But we're just trying to work through it so that we're all in concert on what we're doing. And I think we got a little out of sync with that. So
I understand that.
yeah, when you don't know what it means, you just review the data centers. Like, oh my gosh, what's coming and where's it going to be, right? I understand. Ma'am, do you have any comments or input? Well, this is just us being proactive and trying to get something on the books that provides a framework that at least there's some boundaries and some protections. There's probably going to be a lot more coming down the road everywhere. But I think industry says we have to build them, so they'll try to address all the constraints and requirements that any township puts on. So it's going to have to be, where can they go? What's the best places they can go?
I think, Tom, you said that we got some materials from Butler County
Yes.
last week on data centers, kind of reference.
Correct.
Because they're considering that as well as a county. And I was just in Maine, and there's a moratorium on data centers for a year. So.
I was reading somewhere the state, when fracking and all the gas started getting, gas industry started growing, the state tried to put in statewide requirements or ordinances, and it got shot down by the courts that you can't really do that statewide. But these ordinances have to come from the individual townships, because that's the charter in the MPC that townships are supposed to have their own ordinances. There's a framework we have to follow, but we cater to what our township needs versus what Cranberry needs versus what maybe our township needs. So, because I would hope that the state just comes in and
well,
does
they
it for us.
introduced legislation last yesterday. They're representative about data centers, the state level. So we're trying. It's on everyone's radar. So it's good.
Okay, any more public comments?
Just a reminder, even for the new, you probably are aware of it. Tomorrow night at 6 p.m. at the Big Beaver Borough Volunteer Fire Department, Switch is having a town hall regarding the data center that they're going to build in Walmart, which is on 400 acres. They're claiming it's supposed to be covering about 300 football fields down there. That's on top of the hill, and for anybody who may not know the background, Big Bird changing their ordinances on September 16th. Kind of slid things through, permitted some real quick zoning changes, permitted data centers in this section. And this is where the big pit race racetrack was. October 1st, it was posted, the track was closing at the end of the year, it sold for $50 million. So it's pretty big concern because of the water, like you guys all mentioned that, the total noise. Now there's another one coming out talking about radiation sickness. It's similar to EMR that's being caused from the data centers as well, which is your headaches and all that kind of stuff. And being less than 10 miles probably buys pro flash flow, we will get the total noise, the ground shaking, everything here from that facility. Because it's on this side of the road.
Okay, thank you. All right, so our next part of the agenda is our administrative items. And so we'll get started on that. I sent out the draft memo with the schedule, and I've got comments from all of you. Some of them came in today. I haven't had a chance to look at them, so I'll kind of rewrite based on the input I got from everyone. And is there anything either of you or any of you feel strongly about that we're making a change that we all ought to know about? Looks
I
like
sent mine to you late. I don't know. Two things that kind of struck me. First was there's a reference to the township manager having some control over the process, and I still consider that. I don't know if that's.
Here's what I'm trying to do with that. Somebody has to send us a memo on what we're going to look at. Okay. If it's just the township supervisors, we could get one from, Greg Kessler. We don't know that Rich and Mike are on board with that.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured if we consolidate it and it comes from the township manager, she's not going to send us that unless all three of them agree.
Yeah, I think I understood your intent.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't understand.
That was how
We get all the noise flying around like the one supervisor doing stuff, but I didn't think that the township manager had authority to issue a communication to us as the official communication from the board of supervisors. But the board of supervisors has to issue a directive to us, but I don't know that our solicitor would have to. It just seemed like I don't know if it's a big deal.
Well, it's good
that
you
come up in discussion.
Brought that up, and they can certainly change what we're recommending,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
And we're asking for it from the
Okay.
township manager. They can say, no, we're going to send that to you. We'll all three sign it or something like that. So that was kind of my approach, but that's good to bring up.
And then the second one was having non-quorum functions. I think the term was non-quorum.
Right.
It sounded like, and I understand your intent again to get a lot of stuff done outside of a formal meeting, but I don't know, again, the conflicts.
We have verified that one.
Oh, you have?
Yes.
It doesn't.
It does not violate any sunshine laws at all.
As long as we have less than 4 people.
Okay.
We don't have a quorum, and we're just working on, trying to get ahead on working on some of these draft ordinances, which then get shared between the entire group in a public meeting. It's perfectly fine to do that.
Yeah. So if a couple people meet with someone from Butler County who can provide some assistance to the process, that's not a violation.
Yeah.
That's the essence of it.
Yeah, so I was trying to clarify a little bit as preparatory, not the actual decision-making process. You know what I mean?
Correct.
It's all like, it's not, a non-quorum can't make a decision in and of themselves. That's where I was kind of, oh, this is going to go up.
Yeah, non-quorum will never make a decision. Never. But they could go and work to restructure and organize and reword and whatever to propose something that then is discussed in general. And the goal of some of it is to take for example, the zoning ordinance.
Yeah.
And reformat some of that so that we get some of the tables and the other things organized better in a framework.
Yeah.
That then is brought back here for discussion of content.
Mhm.
That's the essence of how to streamline.
Yeah, I was just suggesting some, I guess, less fictional language, or less, and the same thing when I was doing with the township manager, like, that there has to be, sometimes when you're so explicit about what you're trying to not be explicit about, you're pretty explicit. I don't know if that makes sense, but, so just a couple things. I gave you a few other comments, but it was well written.
I thought it was a good letter.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
I thought it summarized everything.
I missed that session, so I apologize. The schedule seemed pretty good too.
I had some
Pretty
comments.
depressing.
Yeah, pretty depressing.
Is that why you're adding hours to our labor?
That's why I brought
It's
coffee.
like a prison sentence.
That's right.
I did talk with Mike Dobin, and he said I need to add more review time for the supervisors during their review periods, that they won't be able to get that done within a month's period of time. So I thought I'd let them all decide that, but I don't know, we should just add 2 months and ask for them to try to shave it down and trim it a little bit, or, you know, they want to expand it out further.
I would just submit the way we recommended it.
Yeah.
Change it as a group, they change the group.
Or if
Formally ask for them.
if when it gets to that point, they delay it because they can't get it reviewed in time, that's on them. So that's fine. I don't have a problem with leaving it the way it is and let them expand it if and when they need to.
And I don't, the schedule thing kind of throws me. I missed all the discussion, I apologize again, but, you know, if they don't like our schedule, this is our schedule, right? This is what we think we need to take, so I'd be hard pressed to say, oh, sure, whatever you want, we'll get it done in 2 months. Like, there has to be, we still have to have some control over our own destiny, I think, so I'm sure that was the intent.
Maybe to that point, you know, about the review periods and how those are kind of at the mercy of whoever's reviewing it.
Mhm.
Maybe we need to put in here specific durations that we're assuming for each ordinance. So, you know, I know it's on the schedule, but it's tied to those other review periods. So if we put in there like preparation of draft ordinance for the saldo, 3 months, and then, you know, something from the point we receive comments from the blah, 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 6 months. So maybe we leave this here, but maybe we put in words also the assumption that we're,
Some of the schedule lists, right?
yeah,
Include that as some of the schedule.
we assumed it was
schedule
3
lists.
months after receiving comments.
Mhm.
And back to your point, Matt, I think some of it is, some of it's going to come to where they're going to review, they're going to do all that stuff, but I think they're going to look at this and decide, yep, it's a reasonable schedule, therefore we need to adjust our thinking in terms of maybe we do need some standalone ordinances. Maybe we do need to push some of those things ahead because it's not going to get done in the time frame that we've proposed here. So I think that's some of what's
Like
going to
the
go.
dual access.
What's that?
Like the dual access is.
Yeah. So some of those.
That's almost finished. Right?
Yeah, because
Well, that should be going to them.
Oh, it's going to.
I have it listed in there, but it's
Yeah,
ready.
sometimes the smaller chunks are easier.
because they may go and say, we can't wait that long for these things.
Right.
Get us a standalone here, and then
Yeah.
let's finish up the whole thing when you get to it.
Yeah, they don't want to wait a year and a half.
What was the germ of the need for the memo? Is it the board of supervisors wanted more clarity on the future, what we were working on?
I'm not real sure, but I got an email from the township manager saying on behalf of the township board of supervisors, they would like you to give them a schedule in writing as to how long it's going to take. Which kind of surprised me, you know. I feel like we're having to give them some sort of, you know, commitment in writing on what we're going to do.
Well, I actually think it is in response to like what we're talking about here. Do we need to do standalone or can we bundle it? If we came back with a schedule that said we're going to have it all wrapped up in 4 months, and they're going to say, yeah, we're not going to do anything separate at all. We're just going to wait for your ordinance. But with this, they're going to have to rethink that. And suspect that's the driving
Yeah,
force.
I don't think anybody realized that it was gonna take us 18 months longer
Correct.
to get there. And once they see that, it's
So-
like, wow, because when we're done, there's a whole nother year. We move, as I said last meeting, we're moving at the speed of government, which is not very fast. So, what I'll do is I'll take everybody's comments and I'll try to reformulate the memo, make some updates, send it back out to you guys. Get your input, and then I think they said we didn't have to vote on it. So I will make sure you guys are good with it and then send it out. Actually, Bob might have to fix that because I'm gonna be on medical leave for a month, I think, at least. So yeah, I'll send you the Word file, Bob. And,
Oh, that's in Word? You did that?
yeah.
I didn't look at it. Okay.
If we could qualify the schedule, it's our best. I've seen schedules like this get bound, and someone finds it and they say, oh, look, you guys said you're gonna get done in 4 months, and you guys haven't done anything, you can work both ways, And I don't think we need to be policed by that.
The schedule was done in Excel, just
Okay.
little cells. And what's nice about that is I do it all the time. You just keep coloring the cells as you slip, just keep moving them to the
Say draft.
just keep moving them to the right. Everything just kind of shifts, add some more columns. So,
Okay.
all right. So thanks for your review on that. I think we're 90% there. We have some quick revisions. So the next thing we're going to work on tonight is trying to finish up the saldo, because we have not gotten in writing from the township supervisors to work anymore on the data center ordinance. I know, Tom, you said we don't have a whole lot left.
Correct. So the saldo, the actual saldo, I think the last sections were legal reviews, and that's the way it was being handled. So in actuality, the recreational portion of that is the last pages that we have.
Okay.
I don't know if people were familiar, that was back on February 24th. When we last visited, I do have some copies of the ordinance. If somebody wants to look at those.
Is this the one with the trailer parks?
Yes.
Harvest camps and
We
dip
went
camps.
through like 90% of that, didn't we?
We went through almost all of it. We didn't quite finish.
Then we found that other
Oh,
statewide.
yeah.
It's pretty similar, but back there, that was the working copy that I had, so.
Yep.
We had finished on number 7, VII is where we ended up finishing up in the red text, which is the non-transient recreational dwellings. So we didn't really have that much further to go.
Which one? We're on 7?
7, Roman numeral 7.
Oh.
There's a discussion on the paragraph before about the township may require someone to remove the recreational vehicle from the campground for a period of 7 days, just so it's not there on a yearly basis. So it's, and then we got through the non-transient residential dwellings, that's where we stopped.
I'm trying to get up to speed on some of my notes from
So
back then, a couple months ago.
a couple things to talk about. Just my familiarity with a friend of mine's camp, which is up north of Marine State Park. And there's probably one, there's also a very similar one right off of 79 at the Slippery Rock exit, where removing those for 7 days out of the year isn't gonna happen right now. I guess they're allowing permanent structures. Okay? And so we've decided as a group, we're not gonna allow permanent structures. So they have to be movable. They can't build roofs and porches and everything else around them where they stay. And I'm fine with that. I think that was what we all agreed to.
It becomes a permanent residence.
So
Well, I agree with that, but is there a class of residents that makes sense to have that would allow a permanent structure like that? That we would be excluding? Do you know, Tom?
Not on a campground, I mean, certainly if a homeowner wants to have a tiny home or do something, I mean, they could have a mobile home on a piece of property. I mean, they would follow the ordinance in the section where it's allowed, and they can do that, there's certainly no issues with that. They would follow building permits and all the other regulations, it's just not called a recreational land development.
Okay.
So that's the difference is, this is intended to be more than one on a piece of property versus a single dwelling on a piece of property.
Okay, as long as we're not excluding a class of residences, because that'll get us in trouble.
Correct.
But if we're not excluding them, then I'm fine with exactly what we're saying, they need to be removed.
If somebody
keep
had a
this-
septic and a well hooked up and they had a mobile home or an RV that they brought in and dropped it in place and met all the criteria, then in theory, they could still do that.
So the one I'm familiar with, they can live there 11 months out of the year. But 1 month out of the year, they can't live there. They get to choose what month that is, and I'm not sure how it's enforced. In fact, the people that belong to that camp aren't sure how it's enforced. They, have a home somewhere else, so they obviously don't live there, but there could be people living there that they wouldn't really know about. So I don't know how that's enforced if that's the case.
You could do a permit, to which you would have information, and there would be, with the other permits, the township has an annual fee that's associated with that. I mean, it could be a minimal fee just for administrative purposes to sort of track that. And then it would be forcing you to say this permit is only good for 11 months. And then handle it that way. It's not ideal from the township's perspective because not everybody's going to come in the same month and start. So we sort of have to track that, and it could be a little bit cumbersome depending on how many you have.
I guess the proprietors of that would say, tell me what month you're not going to live there because I'm shutting the electric off, I'm shutting the water off, or something like that. And it just keeps them from being there for a month, right? And it'd be their prerogative. We wouldn't tell them to do that, but
Right.
they could enforce it that way. At least saying, well, there's no power and there's no water, it's really uninhabitable, and they get to decide what month they're not going to be there. I'm just guessing, talking out loud on that, but that would be one way to do it, and that would put the onus of that on the proprietor of the campground.
Right.
It says the township may require, it doesn't say will require.
What section are you in?
I was only back a little ways, because we started talking about the 7 days.
C5.
Yeah, as far as May, if it's obvious that it's on, 4 wheels or 2 wheels and it can't be dragged or it can easily be moved, we're not going to make them move it. But if they start building decks and porches and roofs and everything else,
Well, it says you're not allowed to take the wheels off, too.
so I think that's where we may just tell them you have to move that for 7 days, and that kind of ruins the fun if they dismantle something to get it out of there.
Is that what that 7 days does?
Yeah. We're afraid they'd just move it to the lot next door.
It prevents it from becoming like a mobile home, right? Because it has to maintain wheels and the ability.
Sure. All right. It says the records discussed in the owner has to keep records, so. And we determined there was Pennsylvania code, right, Tom? For this?
There is, yes.
So we're not like creating a new law or anything. We're kind of following the script.
do we have any of these in the township now?
I don't believe so.
Yeah, not that I'm aware of.
What about those happy camps?
Well, that's two things we should, do they fall underneath a different ordinance? The hip camp and the harvest camp?
I don't know, I mean, to me, we
Family.
probably need to have definitions of them somewhere in the salvo.
It would be the same as like a Airbnb, I would think.
Short-term rental.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just kind of thinking out loud, so the folks that were here come to a lot of the meetings. The log cabin is part of this harvest camp. And they let somebody with a trailer stay in the back of their parking lot for 1 or 2 nights. And, you know, there's an agreement they'll, you know, eat at the restaurant or whatever. I don't see any real harm in that. It doesn't bother me that if there were 20 of them there, I think I would maybe object. But, you know, we as a group and then the supervisors have to decide if that's something we're going to allow or not allow, if we can't allow it, can't restrict it. I just don't know. I thought that was interesting that they were doing that because as you drive by, you see a couple kayaks on the roof and, you know, they've got a generator going and whatever. And they don't seem to be bothering anybody. But if that was a different restaurant that's right next to somebody's residence, maybe that won't work so well. Or once Wrigley development goes in, Page Place, you know, the generator starts bothering the neighbors whose rear of their properties face that hillside. You know, so Connie.
The most that I've seen on there, the RVs or campers is 2 at a time. It's usually just one, like you said, but sometimes there's a couple cars that come with that. But yeah, it's usually no more than 2.
And, you know, so they seem to be, you know, like I said, what they're doing doesn't seem to bother me. But the hip camps, that's a harvest camp. And then the hip camps, as it was explained to me, is when, you know, say I have a 20-acre property and I let 2 or 3 people with these RVs come in and spend the weekend or a week or whatever. I think that's a little more concerning because, you know, I don't have 20 acres. If I had 3 acres and I told, go park over there by that house, you know, just stay on my side of the property, you know, then things start changing, you know, and that's where I think that's a violation of some other ordinance. And if it's not, we should try to prevent that from happening. There has to be that buffer space.
Well, related to the first one, what about RVs parking in Walmart lot kind of thing? Or Lowe's, because I know that occurs in
some
several
townships allow it, some don't.
Correct.
Yeah.
And is that something we should be addressing along with, because it's really no different than the harvest thing.
Right.
I know Walmart Cranberry does not allow any, I thought they were, that was where the RV and the trucks could go. They're not, you have to be a Walmart truck.
Yeah, we had a real dilemma a couple years ago. We were down in Pigeon Forge when the hurricane came through, and our campground was flooded. So we had to pack up and move, nowhere to go. We go to Walmart and then find out from Walmart that you can't stay past midnight. So then we had to find a place. But, and again, it was township regulations.
I thought Walmart was the place to go.
Yeah, because it was like, we have to do something because everything's flooded down there then. So.
The one guy said he thought it was because they were losing parking lot space because it.
Yeah, I don't know why, but from what they told us, it was township driven. It wasn't them.
Yeah.
It was township driven.
Yeah, definitely Cranberry.
Because I thought it was universal and all Walmarts let you pull in there, but they can't and they don't. I was up in Alaska, there was campers everywhere in the back, but they allow it there, so.
So is that something that we need to be addressing? And it really isn't in this.
Correct. It would be a zoning.
That goes back to zoning.
Okay.
Well, then we'll table that whole discussion, but I think we do need to raise that, the hip camps and the harvest camps.
Well, the HIP would also be zoning then too, wouldn't it, Tom? It's not Saldo related.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, I think we address them all then. But yeah, I think they should all be addressed.
Again, I don't want to restrict what people do on their land, but we have to protect, to me, the surrounding residents is what it's really about.
Just at Christmas time.
on their website. Did you go on the camp website?
I have not, no.
It's kind of like a campground, like you can reserve specific sites within someone's property.
Oh, really? It's like bed and breakfast.
It's kind of creepy.
Does it cost money?
Yeah.
Yeah.
$24 a night.
It's pretty cheap. Gotta try that on my next trip.
You seem excited.
I don't like camping though.
Do they
I'm
have,
saying it looks a lot like a campground.
wonder, I mean, what do you, people that get the bright idea to do that, but they don't have sanitation
I don't
facilities,
have any of this stuff.
you know, water, electric, so they're running the generator and, you know, affecting the guy that lives
Would that
next
be
to them.
considered an organized camp then? Like under the definition we have?
It depends, I mean, you're gonna need to define it, and you're gonna define how many to a site, so that you're gonna have that definition, you're gonna have recreational land, all of those need to fit somewhere in those definitions. So,
Okay.
Well, if we have the recreational land development in the Saldo, can we simply exclude the HIP totally? And I don't think we're violating anything, because they could create a recreational land development on their property if they wanted to do this kind of thing.
So that could be a strategy, right? We say in ordinances you can't do it,
That you'd have to come and
but you,
make your property recreational land development in order to make a HIP camp work.
and meet all the criteria that we put in there.
In here, yeah. And then you're taking care of that one, and then you still have the Harvest stuff and the Walmart stuff that you just have to decide what you're gonna do. And I don't know what the answer is, because I think as long as it's reasonable, it's okay, but one person's reasonable isn't another person's reasonable. So therein lies the problem.
Well, I guess you could easily stop it by saying no parking after midnight or something, right? Like I told you with Pigeon Forge.
You can, but then are you really hurting businesses like Log Cabin and things that you have the onesie, twosie a night kind of deals? I don't know.
As long as there's no complaints, and limit the number, or give them 3 complaints, and 3 strikes, they're out.
I tell
How do
you,
you-
those RV stores, you don't want to look on those RV storage yards for your, you know, they went down on 19 in Cranberry. You know, that's loaded with just RVs. Oh, it's not in Cranberry, it's right in Harmony.
Is that Jackson?
We used to park there.
Where at?
The one down
Jackson
on
Township.
19,
Just south of Zelly.
right?
Yeah.
Before 528.
That's a popular place.
Most places ban having RVs with their HOAs.
Okay.
They know where to go.
So, HIP camps. You're gonna make it the nicest couple. Maybe it fits family, it's okay.
You know, the other thing too, Tom, do the supervisors ever give us guidance on what they would like to see, or is it up to us to formulate it and give it back to them and them decide if they like it or not?
regarding the saldo and the zoning, it's up to you to determine what you feel should be in those, and you can give it to them.
Okay, what about zoning?
Same, it would be the same. I mean, you have, and again, your zoning, you have a table of allowable uses. And it doesn't have every single use in there. So you're gonna expand on that use. You may change definitions, you may alter that. That's gonna be your recommendation of it. Because you can't have a definition for every, like a data center, 10 years ago, that thought process wasn't there, you don't have a definition for it, so now you're gonna be adding that, so you have some criteria for where you can place it.
I guess more, I'm looking along the lines of, say the supervisors say, hey, we want you guys to work on a standalone ordinance for HIP camps and harvest camps, right? Do they go one step further and say, we really don't want more than 2?
No. No.
They're not allowed to do that, or they don't do that?
They usually don't do that, and again, your old zoning will have some recreational components to it, so that's why you're reviewing it as part of it. You're amending those ordinances as you go through it in those pieces.
Okay, well, I think we've settled that. We'll address harvest camps and HIP camps in the zoning a couple months from now. let's move forward with this and try to get this one done.
Okay, so where do we need to pick up here, Tom?
It was on number 7, Roman numeral 7 is where we ended.
Waste disposal?
Yes.
Well, back just one on the defined permit process, C junkyard. What do you mean by that?
So for junkyards right now, in order to have a junkyard, you need a permit from the township, it's an annual permit. So they review that and determine if that use is applicable, not applicable. And if they, for some reason, you don't have that fulfillment, then you don't get a permit. So to me, it would be a similar type of permit process.
Okay, but we don't want to have this language in here though, right? You don't want to say C junkyard.
No, it'll be the same definition of what the junkyard
Correct.
terminology is.
Okay.
It's going to be catered to this use, but it's going to be similar to that.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with that.
Okay.
Waste disposal. I don't have any issue with waste disposal. Anyone else has any comments or issues?
No.
Okay, common sanitary facilities. I don't remember reading the section of the PA code. Is it comprehensive enough to cover what we want there, Tom?
I believe it is, but let me pull it up.
I think we looked at it, but I honestly don't remember it well enough. Oh, yeah.
This may seem like a stupid question, but it's an outside toilet.
I would imagine a porta-john or something else sitting on your site.
Because you know why not?
It's
It says no outside toilets. I mean, I think I know what it means.
The whole world's an outside toilet.
So it basically is a pump tank system.
Oh, okay.
So not very.
So like an outhouse.
It's an outhouse, right?
Okay.
With a tank that you would come in and pump out.
Okay. Gotcha.
We gotta be careful with that though, right? Because aren't they looking at putting something like that up at the park temporarily? Pump out sanitation?
That I don't know. But again, it's just, that's what it is. And again, a commercial entity could have a holding tank, because the state allows the commercial entity to have a holding tank where a residential cannot.
Okay.
So there's a little difference between, a house that's in the middle of nowhere that doesn't have septic ability. They can put a holding tank in, but a commercial, you can in theory have a bond to go with that. It's essentially a public salary bond. There's some rationale there.
Oh, so essentially, the residents there can't hook up their plumbing to the outside, just let it run, or to some other. It's got to go to the sewer system. Okay.
Yeah, they have to. The 19.6 indicates that the PA code requires that any sewage disposal system has to be approved by DEP. So it's got to be a system that can withhold the amount of flow that they're anticipating.
So their options are either tie into public sewage. If that's not available, then they're going to be putting some kind of
Community sand mound
or gravel
flow treatment system,
drip system, whatever they need that can handle the estimated number of people they're going to have at that facility. Okay, that's fine.
And then later in section 1921 and on, it actually talks about toilets, number of toilets, all that kind of stuff too. So I think it's covered well enough that we shouldn't be rewriting it here.
Looks good to me.
Yeah, I have no problem with the rest of that, the way you've rewritten it, Tom. I don't see any issue with fences either.
Must have used the Route 19.
Okay, down to fire rims at number 10.
I was wondering why we would.
Yeah, why'd we change the numbering?
I think we had one that was deleted.
Well, the H, wait a second. Wait a second. Is it? No, that's right, 8, 9, or 8 is fences, 9, okay, that's correct. 10 for fire rims. I think what we talked about there was the 25 feet didn't make sense if the lot's 50 feet wide. That you actually can't, it just doesn't work. And that we were moving it to 10 feet. And you did that, and I don't have any issue with that. If people are good with it.
This depends on how big the fire is. No, that's good.
I would assume that a metal ring would be equivalent to concrete construction.
Oh, where's that? It's awesome.
It says, yeah, it says concrete. I was thinking the same thing.
Oh, yeah, good point, because most fire rings are actually a metal fire ring. Should we actually change that, a fire ring of metal or concrete or equivalent?
I would add in metal.
Because metal is the most common.
Metal, concrete, or equivalent, right?
Yeah, good catch. Okay, water supply. And we decided to blow that all the way.
Yeah, just reference the code, state the federal right.
Well, we aren't referencing anything here.
Well, utilities, next section.
Okay.
I think water would be. Except it does say, all utilities including, but not limited to the following, and those are all.
Yeah, so we need to change something here. Either we need to put them back in, or put them in the text of number 1 there.
Yeah, do you just want to strike the including but not limited to the following, and just say all utilities shall be provided in accordance with state and federal statutes?
I would think that's sufficient, because your main campground utilities are always going to be water, sewer, and electric. I've never seen gas or anything like that. And
We have propane tanks and stuff.
Cable.
what's that?
Propane
Internet.
tanks, don't they have propane tanks and stuff?
Um,
Sometimes?
Not distributed. Those would be typically it's all individual for that. I've never seen a distributed system. It's per RV that would have its own fuel. But I think it's safer to just leave it, don't list them, and we're good.
If we don't list them, what about the guy who says, well, I don't need electric, I don't need something. So it's not a utility that counts because I'm not planning to provide it.
Oh, and that's fine, because if he's not providing these, if he has a rustic environment, and he doesn't have those things, that's fine.
It's okay.
But if he has a utility, he has to abide by the rules for that utility.
Okay.
So yeah, I would think if we just scratch that including, but not limited to the following, we should be good on that.
And then we finish?
Yeah, I agree with blowing the rest of those things away on, what is that, D, utilities there. And then we're down to sewage disposal.
right after waste disposal.
Well, I also think it's under utilities.
Oh, it's in utility? Well, that's where it was.
Well,
I just mean because we listed sewage disposal under utilities, like scratch that.
Yeah,
It's basically saying the same thing.
okay.
wait a minute, one more time?
So we're saying utilities are the national utilities, like, oh,
Would that fall under utilities? We're basically referring to state codes.
It's the same, yeah, it's brought out, but it really has the same definition, same different. You need to call it out again. Is the question.
Well, I don't think it's calling it out again. I think it's actually, this is different. This one is saying you will have some kind of sewage hookup. Not a hookup necessarily, but the land development will have some kind of sewage system. It doesn't have to be on each individual lot, but maybe it's a dump station or whatever else. There's gonna be some system there on the site for public toilets or whatever it happens to be. Unlike the previous one that says if you have a utility, it has to abide by the rules. This is saying you must have that utility, right? That's the way I'm reading it.
Yeah,
I'm reading number five, or, that's not five anymore. What is it?
It'll become one.
No, will it become one or become two?
but doesn't it apply to a special class? It uses the term non-transient recreational dwellings. So those,
Service buildings, yeah.
that's a non-transient recreational dwelling. That's one that doesn't move, right?
Like a camp, like a hut, or a yurt.
So it's like an organized toilet? Like that?
Well, non-transient, the way I would hear or understand non-transient recreational dwelling, it could be a camp manager that has a unit on the site, or something like that. He's a permanent fixture on the site. He's not transient coming in and out.
So these are all the fixed buildings on the property?
Fixed buildings on the property, there's gonna be some kind of sewage system provided,
Okay.
and it needs to play by the rules.
Yeah, it just threw me for a loop there, the definition of.
And I think we want to still say that, because otherwise, if we don't say that, in theory, they could go under D1 and say that, oh, we don't need any utilities for our recreational land development at all. We just don't want anything. We don't want sewage. It's like, no, if you're going to have a toilet, there's going to have to be some kind of sewage facility. That's the way I'm understanding it. I think we want to keep that.
I think sewage is essential. They can require their campers to bring in their own water, right? They don't have to provide water.
Correct, but in
They
here,
need sewage. They need a way of disposing.
but this isn't even necessarily for that. This is for if they've got a toilet on the site, if they've got a building on the site, any other game rooms on the site, whatever. There's going to be toilet facilities that have to connect and play by the rules.
Right.
So I think you want that. It doesn't require that you have a hookup at every site for sewer. That's not required, and I think that's fine. There's no reason to require that.
Agreed.
But I'm still a little confused in the numbering though.
It should become number two.
Isn't that D2 then?
Yeah.
Okay,
D1 being utilities and D2.
okay.
I guess we determined that wasn't a utility disposal. Sewage disposal.
So question.
Yeah.
So if we're requiring them to have sewage disposal from these non-transient and service buildings, I mean, theoretically, they have to have a water supply too. So are we requiring them to have a water supply if we're requiring them to have sewage disposal? Because the sewage would be generated from the use of water.
Can they get a occupancy permit for the buildings we're talking about if they don't have water and sewage, right? They wouldn't be able to.
Got those incinerator toilets. Have you seen those? They're
Yeah.
really effective.
So it comes down to,
But I think we already said all utilities have to meet the code, so for them to operate a toilet, they need water, so they have to get their utility and they have to get it approved by the state, I imagine. Have a running toilet, yeah.
if they try to say they're not gonna have water, I guess they need, for a building, they're not gonna get an occupancy permit.
Correct.
So they don't have a choice there. We don't include it here, it's still a fallback.
Yeah, and it could be by a well on the site, it could be hooking up to public, whatever.
We have none of these in our township right now, right?
Correct. Not that I know of.
Not that anybody's admitting it.
I actually want to go back to D1. If we blow away that phrase, and you just read it, all utilities shall be provided in accordance. Now we've got a parsing problem. If you parse it as all utilities shall be provided, that means you're providing, it could be interpreted as you're providing all utilities, right? Rather than saying all utilities that are chosen to be, not this horrible wording, that you choose to provide, shall be provided in accordance with.
So
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, the terminology of use of all.
The word all, correct, where all attaches, it could be construed as.
How about utilities used on the property must meet?
All utilities servicing the property shall.
Servicing the property?
Servicing the property shall be in accordance with state and federal statutes.
How about all utilities?
What's that?
Any utilities?
I don't know. It just occurred to me when I read that can parse two ways, and we should be clear about the way it should parse.
Could use the word every applied utility.
You just delete the word all. You say utilities shall be provided in accordance with.
There you go.
I would think that would be effective. And that's where a solicitor should weigh in if they have additional concern on the language.
Yeah, they try to avoid those big all-inclusive terms usually.
Because I just, when I read that, it's like, yeah, you could put that all in two different ways and parse it differently. Okay, I don't have an issue.
So back to the sewage disposal, do we just want to put a qualifier in there? If there's a water supply, they need to have sewage disposal.
What if it's just drinking water?
Like what? Like a hose?
Like fountain?
Okay, well,
potable water is drinking water.
I don't know that you need to say anything different, because with the way this is written here, the way I'm reading it, is if you have a non-transient recreational dwelling, service buildings, or accessory structures, you have to provide a sewage system, and it has to be approved, blah, blah, blah. Water is independent of that, because you're not going to get the building permit for the building or the accessory structure that has a toilet in it unless you have water, right? So if that's the case, that's already covered in the rest of the code, and I don't think we have to rewrite it here. Am I missing something?
It's best that we don't rewrite it here. It's going to be identical somewhere.
I mean, it is covered in the first paragraph. I mean, in theory, sewage is also, I mean, any utility is covered in the first paragraph. I don't know that you need to expand upon that just because it is covered. If you're going to do anything, it's got to be per DEP regulations. So.
Well, that actually begs the question, do we need this paragraph at all?
Well, I think that's what we started with, was it really needed because it's covered?
Because if someone's going to put in one of these buildings or an accessory building, then it has to have a utility, and that utility is going to have to be approved by the first paragraph, acceptable by the first paragraph. So I guess I'd be inclined to say you could blow it away and you're not going to get in trouble by blowing it away and keeping it simpler.
This is different than parks, correct?
Yes.
So recreational land is not considered a park.
Correct.
additional thoughts? We're gonna blow that paragraph away?
I think it's covered under V1. I do. I think it's somewhat redundant because the fact that they're gonna have to, if they're gonna put in some other kind of building, it's gonna have to have a building permit. And to get the building permit, they're gonna need to provide those utilities in.
Yeah, and the second half of it is definitely covered by that other paragraph, so, yeah, let's blow it away.
Less is more, right?
Yep. Usually.
Now, Article 8, the actual title of this thing, is that the actual place that it fits in the Saldo currently?
I believe so.
Okay, okay. It's been so long since we've actually looked at the Saldo itself.
I know we had talked about this briefly the last time, about how those other buildings on in a recreational land development, like a pool, like a pool house. Where do those fit in with this?
No, 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 no.
Like if they had to provide a pool or a pool house or a general store.
That would have to comply with the ordinance section. So it would fall under this, they have to do that. So they need a building permit, they would need a development plan to show if that is something that they want to add to the site.
So then those structures would fall under the.
That would be similar to what we just saw last week from Graf or from Patriot Auto. They come back with the land development on their property.
Non-residential, they say we want to put in a
So
20 by 20 building for, it's gonna have a concession stand on one side and a bathroom on the other. They would need a building permit, they would need a land development plan. We'd come back before you to review that.
and it could go down a lot of rabbit holes with traffic and
Correct. Saying where it is.
perk tests and everything, depending on what they're putting in. And I think it's best handled that way, because it's already in place.
Where do those things fall in here?
They're under the land development section.
Okay.
So anything,
Pools and stuff?
yes, anything that's commercial, any size commercial required, defined as a land development, it's an improvement on the lot. If you look under the land development definition, it gives you out of the MPC, but it basically says if you're improving a commercial piece of property by adding a building, it's defined as land development, and you need to get through the process. And there's no administrative waivers, there's no other requirements. It follows through with that. You don't have a minimum or maximum or threshold. So
Do we need to at least in here talk about what acceptable accessory buildings would be in one of these developments if we wanted to preclude a certain kind of building? Is there a reason we'd want to preclude a certain kind of building?
I mean, it'd be up to you if you felt the need to say this is an accessory to that use. And again, that's sort of a zoning question, is how far do you go? What do you allow and what don't you allow associated with it? So you could say, recreational use for RV campground, these are the accessory uses associated with that. So you have a whole, clubhouse, you have, anything you felt within that, you can list those.
Where, here or in zoning?
In zoning.
It's probably not a bad idea, because I don't know what they would be adding in otherwise. Because if we just limit it to recreation, we could say, well, we're going to put in a rifle range and a pistol range. stuff like that,
That's what I mean.
under the umbrella of recreation, right? But it's maybe something we don't want to include in it.
Your zoning, you'll see that you have recreational definitions for commercial recreation, stuff like that. So I mean, that's, you know, again, it's not intended to be all inclusive, so we define a use, but if you can define those better, say, a pool, clubhouse, you know, shower facilities, whatever you think is associated with that, then you can pull it into that use and make that allowable accessory use.
Well, those plans would come before us, correct?
They would.
So, you know, if someone comes, we'd have a chance to review those.
Yeah, but what teeth would we have if someone comes in and they're putting in a RV camp specifically for someone who wants to shoot and there's a shooting range on site?
Yeah, like we're just
Legitimately.
restrictions for that, like how far, yeah.
So where would, number one, would we want it? And number two, how would we, you're never gonna itemize all those things, but how would you control the process and how would you be allowed to say no if you're not controlling the process?
If you list them, and they
You never get them all.
well, if you list main general categories, they come back for a waiver or variance, right? On something else that they want to put in, that we get to decide, yeah, you know, we want to put in a learning center, an environmental learning center. Okay, you know, it's a building, it's educational. But if they come back for a variance because they want to put in a pistol range or a rifle range, I think we.
That's not a bad idea, because you could list some obvious ones. You could have a swimming pool, a clubhouse, a pavilion, a data center, a data center there. So you could have some obvious ones that, yes, these clearly fit the normal RV camp experience, and then waiver the rest. And at least then you've got, I would imagine, then you've got some teeth to being able to control that. No, we don't consider that part of an RV camping experience. No, we're not going to allow rifle ranges. Or, we might. I'm just using that as an example.
Are these in a specific zone?
I believe they are.
Special conditions?
Probably industrial.
I think it's
Next
all
to
one.
data centers.
I think it's all one. Yeah. I thought it was all one.
Dance on top of the Walmart.
So currently, it's a conditional use and a mixed use,
Mixed use.
and it's a permanent use in industrial.
It is industrial.
Put the RVs with the data centers and the concrete plant.
So and then under your commercial recreation definition, you have bowling alleys, golf courses, driving ranges, miniature golf. You, to me, see some of those maybe with the recreational facility, with enormous fields, but they also allow, in that case, an indoor shooting range. But I don't know that there's anything that's defined as an outdoor shooting range. So as we go through zoning, we may want to define that and say, put it somewhere or somehow do something with that. Because right now, it doesn't look like it's defined at all.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't allow it anywhere, then it's allowed everywhere. So.
But if we only allow the accessory uses to be the standard handful of uses for here, anything else would be a waiver and we'd be able to discuss it.
Correct.
And I think that might be a very reasonable approach when we get to zoning. Put a reasonable list together, but not a comprehensive list.
And that can be, what do the other local campgrounds have? And we can pull that list, and it's commonplace in other places. And, you know, if they come up with something else they want to add, environmental learning center, okay, great. Pistol range, I don't think so. They want to put in a bar. They would still have to go through the whole state process of getting a liquor license and all that, right?
How about a pickleball court with a bar?
Tiki bar.
Sounds
Pickleball
very
court with a
specific.
tiki bar.
I have an idea. Bob's retired, though, so can't use his money.
Matt's place.
That's it.
Good camp, Matt's place.
Oh. Remember that factory.
All right, anything else?
Is that the salvo?
We've got through it. This is our second iteration through the salvo.
Correct. So I'm guessing the next time around we'll give you a clean version of the final salvo, and at
I don't want to go through it.
No.
That's
Just-
that's it, whether you say, okay, here it is, let's move it on, whatever the case is, it'll be a final version of everything we discussed.
No, just to stoke the fire level. The data center ordinance is a Saldo piece, correct?
It could be a standalone one.
Is that Saldo or is it zoning?
I would say it would be zoning because the use would be zoning, and my guess is it would be conditional use. So then you would have conditions in the conditional use section, define buffers, noise, everything that stipulations, I think would all fall under that, under the saldo would be land development, just like any other land development. So whether it's a big box store, whether it's a warehouse, whether it's a data center, it's gonna follow the saldo as far as the requirements and everything else. But the conditional use is gonna say it's gotta have a buffer of this, it's gotta have.
So are there any elements of the data center that you see going as a change in the Saldo land development? Are you seeing it all sitting
I would
in
say the
zoning?
parking requirements, noise, like all of that's in zoning.
Okay.
I don't think, I mean, your saldo, I don't know that you're gonna have, I mean, whatever section is allowed, and will have the setbacks already on there. Conditional use may say setbacks increase, or something along those lines, so.
Is it zoning more of where you can build,
It is, it's the
and
use,
saldo is more of a process of how you build it?
correct.
So I think there'd be a little bit of saldo on data centers, wouldn't you think? I mean, I don't know if it's in one, it's covered, right?
I think the majority of it, as far as the use, is gonna be the driving factor, and zoning is where that needs to be. Because that's a conditional use hearing, that's
Gotcha.
wherever it is, you've got the neighbors involved, so you're gonna have a public hearing, you're gonna see what those issues are with respect to that, so that you can then, the supervisor will be able to define what conditions to place on that particular data center, because it's X being on X amount of property, and you may not, that may vary between, this site and that site, as long as it's a conditional use, and it gives you the best flexibility. But again, you're gonna have additional standards, which typically you may say that those are in the saldo, those would be in the zoning ordinance.
If we ever had a standalone data center ordinance, we could modify the saldo, right? You can always add stuff to the saldo, or is it?
You could, but it
You have to
would be
reopen
more
everything?
generic as to buffers or those things. It wouldn't be data center specific, because the saldo doesn't have the teeth to do that.
Okay.
The conditional use does.
Well, I guess my question is, if we go back to this RLD ordinance on something like C2, for example, it's talking about, the buffer around the thing. So, are we blowing number 2 away and moving it over to the zoning? The buffer yard stuff, because it says add the buffer standard. So we're blowing 2 away and not talking about it here at all?
No, I don't think you'd have that standard, but I'm just saying, in conditional use, you would have a greater standard for that particular use, whatever that use is.
Well, I'm just wondering why we would talk about it here if for a data center, we're talking about it in zoning. Why wouldn't we talk about it in zoning for this then as well?
You could. I mean, you
To
have
keep things consistent.
Right.
So let's play
Because that's the problem. I see overlap between the two, and just wonder if we should be pulling some of this stuff out. Because even what was the one before that, I think.
Well, when we're working on the zoning, we may go back and reference
Correct.
this.
That's what I mean,
We may, in zoning, take and say, yeah, let's move these paragraphs over to zoning. Because like number 1, it clearly even says in that, put in zoning. because that's exactly where it belongs. It's talking about how big a site we can need for this thing. It's perfect zoning question.
And this will
also-
flag our memories. And
It's also the reason why we don't want to hand these off one at a time to the supervisors. Because I think we're gonna play some of that stuff as we merge all of this together.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree.
And then the ingress egress goes in here.
It would go in Saldo where the section is now restricted, but you also have standards in zoning, like the A and B district encourages combined entrances and stuff like that, so it would be a little bit of a.
And that's finished, right?
Yeah, we finished that last week.
Is there any public comment on that?
Hasn't gone out for public comment.
So, I didn't know if anybody commented on it. after
For
the meeting.
people in the audience, no, I don't believe, they gave us input, but nobody really gave us
We'll
formal
look at
comments.
how to look at it.
Right.
As well.
Okay, so next with respect to the salary, you're gonna go and clean up, add this, clean up, and then a final, this version, yes. And then are we gonna go and review that again or just put it on a shelf for now, or what's your process
My
there?
preference would be put it on the shelf. We've already gone through it
I agree.
twice with a fine tooth comb.
And I think the next best time to go through it is again during the combining phase of all of them. No reason to rehash it again now.
I think we referenced that when we were working on the PRD, and we'll reference the Saldo when we're working on zoning, and we may find other things in Saldo we need to change, and we may see things in Saldo we want to just pull out, put in zoning.
I would agree, but I do think we want it cleaned up so that we have an electronic version in June of here's where we're at as of today, rather than yet another half-baked piece
Yeah,
that
no,
we.
it'll be paper copies, electronic copies, so you have it as a reference tool, and then you'll move on. So it sounds like for the next meeting, you're gonna do PRDs, and jump into PRDs.
Unless we hear something back from the supervisors on data centers, but yeah, if not, let's move forward with the PRD. We've already started it, but I think I'm gonna hand it off to Bob to kind of lead that charge. And we had asked everyone to look
Yeah, why don't you
into,
fire off an email to everyone again, reminding them to jump in, refresh, and do a little homework to it.
come prepared.
I don't know that, do you know of anything coming up for our next real meeting?
No.
So we might have some workshop time in there then too. It's a little early to know yet, but.
Are we ahead of schedule?
Yes.
I think we are 2 months ahead of schedule.
Don't worry, we'll lose it.
It's called slack.
Float, yeah. So residents, just for 2 seconds off, this is how we write ordinances. So we'll be doing something very similar to this when we're working on the data centers. We just spent the past couple of weeks working on ingress egress ordinance. So you're just getting some insight on, I guess they call it how the sausage is made, right? That's what they talk about in Washington, D.C. But we don't have smoke-filled rooms and lobbyists out waiting outside. But that's how we do it. We just, we've got a couple engineers, we've got a real estate specialist, we've got Dale's at agriculture, and we also, Debbie just left, but she was Parks and Rec. So we have a really good, diverse group. We're all, semi-knowledgeable, and Tom's our glue that holds everything together. He's our consultant, the township engineer, who really is a wealth of information and gives us guidance on what we can and can't do, what other townships have done. And I don't think we could get it done without him. So that's how it works. We like residents that come in and sit here and listen, and everything's on YouTube. We're recorded every week or every meeting. You can find it on, what's the website? Connie Lancaster.
Keep Lancaster Green, I think is what it is. I forget it for you afterwards.
So
So this is just a workshop. We have
Yeah.
we have a formal meeting.
We have a once a month formal meeting, and then we were finding that we weren't getting time to sit down and work like this on these ordinances, because this is above and beyond what the normal planning commission would do. So we all agreed to meet the second, evening per month to do this, where we're not bound by review of land development requests and other things that the planning commission does as a formal function. So,
Dave's the chairman.
and I'm the chair.
Hour
Connie's
and 15
the
minutes to go
photographer.
through a page and a half.
Connie lives right over there.
So any other public
Connie's our
comment?
videographer, volunteers.
Keeps us, so is there any other public comment, I would guess? Wrap up.
So in closing, we usually allow additional public comments. If you've heard anything tonight or anything you'd like to add or suggest, we're open to suggestions, and then we'll
I
close.
just have one question that didn't seem to come. If it would be feasible at all to put anything in the ordinance that protects costs and utilities to someone, make it a little more unattractive to anybody who wants to come in and build, because it will raise the cost of water and electricity. So I don't know if that's something that they could get introduced to it or not.
Well, we can't tell a utility what they can and can't charge. But I think we can go and say that it cannot impact. I think we're allowed to say that. But we cannot tell a utility what they can and can't do.
And I think that was part of Dave's next.
Yeah.
Separation of governments.
But, for these folks, these companies or developers that come in, they've got to show us proof that they've contacted the utility companies, and the utility companies have the capacity to allow them to add. And that's, based on their estimates of how much power or water or whatever they're going to use. And we require them to show proof that the utilities are all able to provide what they need.
Yeah, the model ordinance that we're working from, and there's a couple of them floating around, but we're not considering on-site power generation sources for data centers. So it would be, they'd have to go to the utility, get their concurrence with, and develop their rate structures and all that stuff. So I know in California, a lot of data centers are offering rebates to residential consumers to use their feeders and all that stuff. So it's a lot of funny money go around too. So it's a good point.
Okay, any other comments? Well, thank you for coming. Like
Thanks
I
for
said,
coming.
we do encourage the public to come and listen and sit in with us and see how we do this. Just adds credibility to our work. So thank you for coming tonight.
On a beautiful day.